Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. Very excited to be here. We have a very, very exciting panel. We've got three folks from different types of industries, different sectors, and all of them running business or marketing. So I think this should be a very, very exciting discussion. Welcome, everyone. Just to kick things off, I think one big question I keep asking myself these days is, what is real, right? And it's, it's getting increasingly tough to answer each day because there are predictions that about, there's going to be a dead internet with 65% of the content created by AI. AI is now being, considered both from a point of view of how does it change our workflows and how do we create new customer experiences. And I think we'll use this time to have a conversation about how do we use it to create brand love, but also where do we not use it, right? And I'm sure that's equally pertinent. So we'll start with you, Sumit, if that's all right. I think your sector is very, very rich. I think InfoEdge does everything from job seeking to real estate, and I'm sure there are tons of applications for data. We've got so much first-party data as well, and AI gives you the potential to help job seekers to find candidates, to find job listings. So how do you think about it? I mean, I'd love for you to free flow.
So, thanks for having me on the panel. So AI is nothing new for us at InfoEdge because the first time we created the first AI model was actually 2011, in Naukri. But what is new is really generative AI. What is really new is the LLMs. And since you said, we are in businesses of matching, right? Whether it is matchmaking, whether it's jobs, whether it's education, whether it's real estate. So what it has enabled us to do is actually hyper-personalize everything. And today, I think because of the experiences that the social media platforms, kind of serve us, and as consumers, we're all kind of addicted to reels, et cetera, that's a requirement that has become hygiene, right? No longer does a person want jobs that are applicable to a cohort like me, which is what you did earlier. But I think what the LLMs have enabled us to do is that really personalize each job for an individual. Having said that, you did say that I think there are also some things that ethically you need to do as a company, right? And if I just take the example of Naukri, we're using AI on both sides, right? We're also using it where recruiters and companies are finding relevant candidates earlier because they're also coming and searching for candidates. So I think being transparent, that you're using something and why and how are you using it. And also, I think what is very important is to take the feedback loop in because AI is as good as the data that is training it, right? So to keep auditing, to really going back and seeing that what you think it is achieving, is it really achieving it in the real world? And I think therefore human intelligence and gut overlaid with what technology has done today is what we are really trying to do. We definitely take a lot of feedback back from whether it is job seekers, whether it is, customers, which is really companies and consultants who advertise jobs. And as long as you know that what you're doing is verified on both the sides, et cetera, I think there are those guardrails that you operate in, but it's just enabling you to serve your customers and clients far, far better.
Understood. So what you're saying is with the power of data that you have available, at least within a platform, you're able to move to a true N is equal to one model rather than saying that I'll create cohorts,
Correct.
Which is brilliant. And out of curiosity, as a user, if I were on Naukri today, am I aware when AI is being used to prompt me, or is there a way for me to select or use AI to, actually improve my chances or improve the quality of the resumes? I mean, are we building tools? So I'm just coming from the space of brand love, both from a point of view of being useful and being aware that I'm interacting with AI.
So, well, it's part of the TNC, but I think not everybody reads TNC. So I think clients are very, very much aware because when they're looking for candidates, they can immediately see if they are using an AI-backed algorithm. We also have agentic AI, which is a choice. You don't give it by default. And they can see the difference in productivity. They can see the difference, and they can choose what they want to take. On the other hand, which is the job seeker, we do have it in the TNC, but frankly, I don't know how many really read it and how many are really aware. But now it is hyper-personalized. So we are definitely in your login screens at the bottom telling you what are we looking at, what are people like you looking at, and it's what the beauty that I think the LLMs have enabled us to do, Amrish, is that we are changing not real time, but we're changing basis your preference far more quicker than we could do when we were using only pure AI models, right? So I think that is what the job seeker's experience is, because as and when she is looking at different kinds of jobs or applying to different kinds of jobs, which might be a little different from maybe the CV, you know, you can kind of also tweak your recommendations. So I think it is something people are experiencing. And we're making sure that if you're not happy with what you're getting, there are enough feedback mechanisms, whether those recommendations are being served to you on the app, whether they're being served to you through an email or through, you know, WhatsApp, that you can kind of thumbs down, etc., and give the feedback back. And then from time to time, not real time, not every day, but you're then auditing that what is happening. Because there can be some outliers, but if majority, 90% of the cases, you're being able to serve more relevancy, then you're actually in a better place. If you can get more applies for, you know, from the same applicants, lesser actually, then you're in a better place. So I think the metrics that you chase have also become very different, because you're not going out for quantity. Relevance means you'll get lesser page views, lesser replies, but that's better because you're serving somebody that, you know, something that they want far quicker.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? I mean, metrics like page views and all were built on traditional models where you needed people to go through all of it to understand what's happening. And today, maybe lesser page views is actually a better metric. No, since we are on the topic of job seekers, and in fact, to share an experience from our group, from Publicis Group, we get like 60,000 CVs odd a year. And so far, it's all been keyword-based searches, right? And what that does is if someone's not got the right keywords in their CVs, we're probably losing good people as well. So we are actually exploring, you know, options where LLM models can help us interview and do first-round screening. So is that something that can be deployed at scale? Is that something you guys are thinking about, or any other experiences that where an actual, you know, AI interaction happens in terms of selection itself?
So we have an agentic AI model at the recruiter side where it is initially doing the screening. Because what can you screen? You can screen on things like experience, education qualifications, some very, very specific skills, you know, so you might not be able to assess, but you can screen, you know, so that kind of stuff is happening. And it's leading to huge gains in productivity. Right? But it is voluntary, because we've developed the technology, but we don't want to deploy it unless, because it has to be a voluntary choice that you're making. And you also need to be aware, because you need to really see that, is it really helping me? Right? So we've kind of got it on that side. We don't have something like that on the job seeker side, which is where we are automatically screening you. However, thanks to Gen AI, we've actually launched a whole new suite of products, and we call it Naukri 360. You know, and they're actually products for the job seeker. So there are resume builders, there's mock interview, there's cover letters. So now you can just on that platform, depending on the job that you're applying to, get suggestions, get a cover letter out. And most of these products are run on a freemium model. You know, a lot of it is free, but then if you want a lot of tweaking beyond a point, there is a small usage-based amount that you pay. So I think Gen AI has enabled us to actually productize a whole suite of products, which we were not doing before 23, you know.
That's a brilliant example right there of brand love, right? So if I was a first-time job seeker, I mean, the way Instagram managed to get creators by enabling them to create content, you're enabling job seekers to make their resumes and everything better. And I think that's a massive differentiator for a platform over, you know, I mean, I would come to that platform just for that.
Correct.
Another interesting thing you touched upon was the fact that even if we have AI agents to do first-round screening, it's optional, and it's clear saying that you have the option of waiting for a human being. I mean, I guess the way IVRs used to tell us whether you want to, you know, go through an IVR or, you know, talk to a person. I think that's an important component of brand love, right? Where you're clear saying that there will be human intervention required. And I actually love to, you know, jump to Anshu on this one, because fashion, I mean, it's so human, right? It's a little less transactional. It's very personal. So how does your sector look at, you know, the human touch and balancing that with the power of AI and everything it unleashes?
So AI is important, but it's a start point. So AI cannot be the start and the end of it. So it gives us a good start, but the segment that we operate in is premium women's wear, which is more emotional, which is more connect-based. So yes, to get the knowledge through AI on what's their buying behavior, where to invest money in, how to get the traffic, that's important. But once, with those, it is important so there is a manual intervention to understand that data that AI is providing, and then fabricate and tweak around your strategies accordingly. So in our, what we do is, the AI will help us understand the buying behavior. The AI will help us, shortlist the cities that we need to target. But do we go only what AI is telling us? No, because that would be just a formula to increase, or incremental increase in the business. But how do we use that data is what we do. So for revenue, we do not use AI as it is a start point, but there's a lot more human intervention. For example, there is a chatbot, but after 2 questions, it's the manual intervention. Because our customer understands it's a chatbot, it's an AI generation, and the traction doesn't come through. So for a brand like ours, it is the human touch that makes all the difference.
Understood. And what about other parts of the value chain in your industry? So for example, will AI have a role to input, the latest trends that are happening out there? What are people talking about? What are creators talking about? Will that input into the design process or into the trials process? Is there scope for generative AI and diffusion models to improve the trials
Yes,
process?
for recommendations and suggestions, yes. But at the end of it, that's the role that AI provides. And I think the personalization is extremely important. So understanding what the customer wants, but then creating communication in a very personalized way. So the curation is the word. Everybody wants to have a very curated selection or exclusive selection, which AI can help to a certain limit. So to answer your question, I would say that the suggestions and the recommendations happen through AI, but human intervention takes over after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was asking was actually not just the customer experience part of it, but your input part of the process.
Yes. So there it happens, even to an extent that while we are allocating the product to a particular store, AI plays a part. But then do we let AI decide what the store needs to have for that customer? No. There is a manual intervention, there is a call to the store manager, there is a market study that happens on the manual level and not AI generated.
So eventually judgment trumps.
Yes.
Amazing. Great. So we'll come to a category where the cues are all about authenticity, real, and so on, right? And Chandpreet, it's an interesting balance for you, right? In a category which is all about going back to nature, going back to authenticity, how do you balance technology in your value chain, in your marketing processes, in your customer connect?
Thanks. I'm going to be a very honest marketer. It's a struggle. And we are exploring, I'll be honest, I almost feel jealous of Sumit, because when you're on a platform side, you're so data rich. Every move, every second, and every day part, every query is your first party data. Whereas in a D2C food company, if you're lucky, 20% of your revenue is coming from your own platform. 80% of it is coming through marketplaces or offline, depending on who you are. What has helped, I'm just talking about wholesome foods now, what has helped us succeed as other brands is that we've been able to create a unique, clear proposition with the community. And there is no replacement for that, but tech is definitely enabling faster engagement. We have a community called Yes Moms now, which is 20,000 members strong online, right? These are 20,000 mothers who are continuously engaging with us and telling us what their problems are, what's working, what's not working. We have expert panels on food and nutrition, because the whole decision of deciding what you will feed your child the first bite is a very critical one. And then we're moving now into a zone with Mealy where we are engaging with a similar conversation for adults. Because in the post-COVID era, our own health, leading with lifestyle diseases, weight management, hypothyroid, diabetes, has become a real top-of-mind issue. In this context, we are exploring opportunities, just the similar ones as Sumit spoke about. Can we train LLMs with our proprietary data to be able to hyper-personalize the engagement? But can we, at the current level of maturity, where hallucinations are real and judgments are being recalled, can we rely on general LLMs to make recommendations? No. That's where we are, and we're very excited at the possibility, because as a company, we've invested a significant amount of time over the last 3 years in creating content. And so now it is implementation phase, and this is a great panel to learn from. Thank you.
No, that's some lovely insights, and in fact, I can relate to what you're saying because I mean, we worked with Nestle and we built a whole Ask Nestle platform a while back, and one of the things we realized is the moment you're getting into a model of providing a service or content service to mothers and infants, the error rate that you can afford goes down dramatically, right? Because it's almost like a pilot's job. You can't have a single error, otherwise everything goes wrong. So in that sense, how do you balance, I mean, how do you balance generative AI and are there measures you're taking to counter misinformation which is outside of your own platforms? Or is there potential to do that with generative AI?
See, I'm not sure what the right answer is, but all I can tell you is that our intent is to be very clear on what we are answering. And if we are not able to answer your question, we would say so. So what we have now in our rudimentary way without the LLM, what we have is a set of expert panels in our communities. And we have regular check-ins. So let me tell you what we're doing right now and how we're hoping to move that up. We have our community interactions in which doctors and nutritionists have a regular check-in where you know that this is a mother to mother, so a consumer to consumer conversation, which I can only play a facilitative role in when you're enabling a community. But the moment I introduce a doctor or a nutritionist, I am taking responsibility to say that, hey, now I've got an expert in, and there are guardrails of how we speak to them. Now when I move this to an LLM, which is AI enabled, all I can say is that this is what most mothers are saying. However, you should definitely consult your doctor. This is not a recommendation. This is just an aggregation of what we have heard moms saying. But that also is very valuable. Like if I have asked, my child is going through colic, what are the 4-5 things that mothers do? Asking a general Google search or a general ChatGPT, OpenAI model, instead you say, this is what, out of the 16,000 mothers, this question was put across, 3,000 mothers said this, I hope this was useful. However, if this continues, please speak to your doctor. I think that will add a lot of value. So being honest is the only way to go with the community.
No, super, but I think honesty is a big part of brand love, right? I mean, when people start seeing you as an honest brand, it makes a huge difference.
The trust core value cannot be compromised on for us, trust and dependability. So if you don't know the answer, I want to be able to say I don't know. Yeah.
So, you know, trust actually brings me back to you because we spoke a lot at length about job seekers, but we didn't speak about real estate. And I think I can vouch for it as a person who often rents houses in Bombay. The trust factor when you're like, you know, trying to find houses and when you see pictures online and a whole bunch of stuff, it just, what you see and what you get is very different. And I guess that's a big challenge for the kind of platforms that you have. And is there a role for AI to improve the customer experience there, whether it's beyond Gen AI, right? Visual AI and some of the other tools. Have you guys thought about this?
So we've debated it enough. And, you know, like you said, one, trust, because in the whole sector is so opaque, there's no transparency. Secondly, pictures play a very, very important role because what are portals like us trying to do, right? Ultimately, you will still go and see that house. So we're not really going to help you from here only choose that this is the place I'm going to go for renting or I'm going to buy this. But we do play an important role in helping you shortlist because there's so many choices. Can I shortlist those 4 houses or 5 houses which I will go to this weekend through whether I go through brokers or I go to owners? And we've kind of a lot of times felt ourselves, pictures are not very sharp because we're not going and clicking them. Owners are clicking them and uploading them, you know, or brokers are doing so, realtors are doing so. And on the other side, you see builder sample flats, etc., which are such high-res, great pictures. And all this makes the difference to CTR, right? It does. And we've debated a lot of times that should we sharpen them, not sharpen them. And we've always felt that if we actually start using a tool, whether it is Gen AI or it was other tools before that, to do this, will it be fair to the consumer? Because, you know, then I'm making everything look very nice. And we've seen that in a lot of e-com days where you feel, I hope it's what I get is the way it's looking on the website, because with great editing and great tools, you can get very sharp and nice images. But so we've debated it. We're not doing it because we just feel that it would not be fair really to the consumer. And then this whole thing of jo dikhaya tha wo hai nahi will only, accelerate because that already happens. Having said that, it's definitely helping us in recommendations. It's also, real estate is a category. We also have education as a category where there are a lot of queries. When you buy, is this builder worth it? What is the appreciation of this place? What is the kind of rental yield that I can get, especially in residential, because we all know commercial operates at a higher rental yield, et cetera, et cetera. So to identify whether this is an investor, to identify whether it is an end user, to identify where in the journey is the person. I think ML and AI play a great role in segmentation of user journeys. Having said that, I think some of the things that we are using LLMs to do is, again, how do you make the recommendation sharper, right? Because over here, what is very important in real estate is my budget will not really, it'll go a little bit up or down, but if I was looking at something at 3 crores, I would want to buy that 5 crores, but unfortunately, I would not be able to. And therefore, I think recommendation plays a very big role because of the non-transparency of the sector and my over-dependence on going to 5 or 6 places to see all the choices, right? And therefore, I think portals work brilliantly well because we give you so many choices. So to make sure that, okay, you were looking for 3 crores, you thought you will get a 3 BHK, but hey, within a kilometer, there is a 4 BHK within the same, or there is a, 2.5 BHK, which is slightly lesser, but will give you better yields. So I think that has enabled us a lot, because earlier you put the normal logics, which was nearby, amenities, etc. But now it is allowing you to do a lot of this. Then a lot of queries that come, we used to have a lot of answers because through years we've got a lot of content, some through UGC, a lot of it through our expert panels. What we've done is using an LLM called Mistral, which is from France, I think, also open source. We've built a property GPT. So now as a user, you can actually come and just put in anything there, and we've had years of data. So this now is enabled through an LLM, where very easily you can pull out the right answer for yourself, So things like that we're doing.
Amazing.
But,
Basically, going beyond filters, the LLM helps understand the nuance of what I'm looking for.
Correct.
And therefore give better recommendations.
Correct, yeah.
Understood.
Our experience has been so different. We tried a try-on so that we can reduce our returns. Very inspired by Lenskart, which does the try-on. Other websites for t-shirts do it well. So we thought probably we'll also gain from it. But actually our returns became higher because the try-ons were not good. How do you actually tell a customer that a bodycon off-shoulder dress is going to fit like that? And actually it looked very nice when it's fitting. They ordered, but they ended up returning. So for us, having those kind of recommendations and try-ons were...
So just for my understanding, so the try-ons were based on everyone's individual body types or they were virtual try-ons?
Body type.
Oh, interesting. You think it'd go the other way, but you do it and you learn, right? So actually, I was just going to come back to you for something related, and we don't have much time, but this is a question that's on everyone's mind, right? Saying, everyone's talking about Gen Z marketing today, and it's probably, the most relevant challenge for your brand, but of course for yours as well, where Forever New has been around for a bit. I'm sure you're graduating into a new generation of an audience, and what are the challenges that you're seeing? How are they different, and how can AI help, create love with them? And the same question for all of you, and maybe we can, if we have any time left, we can open it up for questions.
Fashion is still an emotion even for Gen Z. Personalization is what they're looking for. Curation is what they're looking for. So yes, their buying behavior is different from what a 40-year-old would, but the levers of buying remain the same. And we have realized that, okay, being transparent that this is an AI-generated content is important. Telling them that it's AI-generated, but at the end of it, it's the personalization which matters. So we haven't seen so much of shift from one age group or a psychographic to another in terms of fashion buying.
Sure. But what about market creation? What I mean by that is the discovery of fashion, the influences of fashion maybe have shifted, to an Instagram, for example, or, to creators versus models, or, whatever. So does AI have a role to play there? Do bots have a role to play there? How do you look at it? How do you look at market creation for yourself?
I think what you said is, yes, the platforms have changed. The kind of content that they are watching, the influencers have changed. But once they are on the site, I don't see them, the behavior being...
Absolutely.
But yes, how to get them has changed. I would say yes, the platforms have changed and the kind of content that they are viewing has changed.
Got it. Chanpreet, is Gen Z a relevant audience for you? I don't know if they're
Yeah,
having kids
actually,
yet,
Gen
but
Z and Gen Alpha also, because our current consumers are Gen Alpha. They're not Gen Z, and we are marketing to the youngest millennials and the oldest Gen Zs, because the oldest Gen Zs have now become parents. So for us, it's a interesting overlap between three. And the one thing that unites them all is social media now. I'm talking about the parents, because we talk to the parents first and then the children consume our product. Social media, activism, uh, an honest, true, no bullshit meter, which is very high, has to be respected. And we are very rapidly moving into, when you start with a new brand or a new product which is led by community interest, you have to understand that it's in all probability a an ad-free environment that you come up in. So how do you build your brand through trust in an ad-free environment? You have to factor that in.
Also an afterthought, sustainability is a very big factor for Gen Z, and also taking their feedback and incorporating it. They are very keen on their feedback being noticed and implemented. So these are the two other things that the Gen Z gets at.
that's a big one, especially in the fashion segment. One last question, which is very pointed question, and I think you may have the most insights on this by the nature of your business, is are you seeing significant change in, between social discovery and search with the advent of GPTs, how people are discovering platforms and so on? Is there a trend that you're seeing? Is it changing?
We're anticipating it will, I think because we're operating in rather serious categories, all four, right? So we're seeing search still to be, it's still dominating, but we are anticipating that the way Gen Z, more and more Gen Z are becoming our customers, and they are used to browsing, they are used to discovery, they have less attention spans. But at the same time, I think some of the things that we're therefore doing is still very, very search-based. But having said this, in all of our brands, we've actually already started building feeds because we've been ahead of the curve traditionally, right? We've started feeds in all four. We're experimenting with them, opening them to certain cohorts, taking that feedback back, because I think very soon we will have to kind of get into discovery, because that is what I think will play all, going forward.
Lovely. We have a little over 2 minutes left, so I'm going to quickly check if anyone in the audience has questions. If not, we'll hand it back to them to leave some parting words for marketers trying to use AI. But if the audience has questions, I'd like to prioritize those. So anyone have questions, please raise hands. No? All right, so then we can go back to one, parting thoughts on what marketers should think about when they're thinking about, AI and...
One, I think not using them is foolish, not advisable. They are not going to take up our jobs, because human intelligence will always rule. But not being able to use them to do our jobs better in what, in marketing, there's so much we are now doing with Gen AI tools in particular, right? And I think whether we are performance marketers, whether we are brand managers, whether we work on insights, there's so much that we can do that if we as individuals and our teams are not exploiting, these tools, then very soon we'll become redundant, and I don't think, so I think we should do it. I also feel that we should kind of consider it as, and another empathy engine that we've got, something that is helping us to understand segments better, something that can throw richer insights, something that can create so much more at scale, right? That is, today, most of us who are doing, for example, say performance marketing or even digital brand marketing, we're actually riding on AI-based, tools and advertising campaigns that we're running on both sides on the big walled gardens, right? Both the walled gardens, everything has moved to now AI-based tools. So the scale that you need, we met, I think 2-3 months ago, I met the global head of content from Meta who said that now you have to make reels which are 3 to 5 seconds. I said, we are struggling to make them to 10 to 15 and you're saying 3 to 5. But we now need scale, I mean, all of us are experiencing the algorithms that are serving stuff to us on social media are absolutely AI driven, right? And therefore we are spending so much time there. So I think as marketers, if we don't start seeing how we can use this, don't do things for a tick mark, but really see, can this help me? I think that is my advice to every young, old, mid-age marketer, that we must use it in our own functions for our own work and see what we can get out of it.
Got it. Time's almost up, so if you could have a quick couple of words from both of you.
AI is there to stay. Just use it the way it helps you. It will help you reduce costs, make campaigns, make images, understand the customer, but how you use use AI to better your job is in your hands. Judgment, community building, all of this will not be disregarded.
Thank you. I think everyone's spoken really well. And I just think the one thing that becomes very clear to me is I need to know what I want even more clearly than I did earlier. Because otherwise it's very easy to get lost in this world. So your communication and the brand's positioning needs to be absolutely sharp and crystal clear.
More clarity.
More clarity.
Superb.
Yes.
We'll wrap up with
Thank
this.
you.
I think the general sentiment
so much.
seems to be what happened when social media emerged. If you're not present at your own trial, you're not going to win. So with that, thank you. Thank you so much, Sumit. Thank you so much, Anshu. Thank you so much, Janpreet. This was a wonderful discussion. Learned a lot, enjoyed a lot. Cheers.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to request all our speakers to please come together. If you could please step forward.